Sir, please begin.
Okay. Welcome to all. In our webinar series. Today's webinar organized by Automobile and Mechanical Engineering Department. Today I first introduce our guest, that is Dr. Prathmesh Poddar. He has completed PhD from the Mumbai University. During that research, they published 4 papers in peer-reviewed journal in Scopus-based index, and other they are published 11 paper in international and national conferences. And also he has a 9-year experience, including industries, and also he filed the patent on the ergonomically designed adaptable laptop briefcase with the adjustable table and cooling fan. And also he has been associate as a National Advisory Committee member for virtual conference on Industry 4.0 and invite as a session chair in National Convention 2021. Today he going to present the technical paper writing. So I would like to I would like to welcome to Dr. Prathmesh Poddar sir, and I request to start the webinar.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Ravindra, for such a nice introduction. So today I welcome all for a talk on technical paper writing. See, actually, I have selected this topic for UG level students and PG level students because I have seen that the students are not that much well versed about how to write technical paper and how to select the title of the technical paper. So this is just a roadmap for them, so they can able to write good technical articles. They can able to publish in good reputed international journals. So this was my motivation for selecting this topic. So I'll begin with my presentation. So the outline of my presentation is I'm going to discuss what is technical paper, then outline of technical, what content it should have, that I'm going to discuss. Then I will going to discuss IMRAD approach. Then how to frame title of the paper, how to write abstract, then what should be the content of the abstract. With few examples, then introduction of paper, how to develop literature survey, research objectives based on literature, based on observation, then how to develop research methodology. That also I'm going to discuss. So I'll begin with my first content, that is what is technical paper. So if you look at, it is a brief and to the point document which describes a body of technical work. So it's a brief and consolidated document which describes the body of the technical, means it covers background till results. Okay, so this is one example. Again, this is one example. The technical paper may be of literature survey kind. Okay, this may be an original research paper or conference paper, journal paper, right? So, but it describes what? It describes the technical work. So that's what is called as technical paper. That outline of technical paper. So the technical paper should contain title followed by abstract, introduction, literature survey, research objective. This is one of the most important element of technical paper. Then research methodology. This is also very important. This gives the roadmap. Then validation. It is depends on the technical paper. If the technical paper is of experimental based, the validation would be there. If it is of literature survey based, then not required of validation. Then result and discussions, conclusions, research implications, if applicable. Then future direction and limitation. This is also one of the most important aspects of technical paper because limitations and future directions are useful for new researchers because these are the takeaway for new researchers. So new researchers will focus on the untouched or undiscovered part of the domain or of the research. Then acknowledgement and references. Yeah. So this is IMRAD approach. In this, if you look at, there is the introduction, methods, results, and discussion. Okay. So the entire approach will talk about the research as well as technical paper writing. So if you look at, see in this figure, there are some symbols used, and the size of the symbol that also tells something. So if you look at first title, and the title is represented by circle, and the size of that size of that shape is very small. So from this we have to understand that title should be very short, brief, informative, and title should give the necessary information. Like what is your problem statement? That we should understand from title itself, and uh, your approach to solve that or your methodology, that also you have to mention in the title. Then in abstract is nothing but it's a consolidated form of your paper. Means abstract covers everything. It talks about background of the problem, what is the problem, then your approach, your outcomes, results. So it's a summary of your technical paper, but in short. Okay, so abstract is a nutshell. Then introduction. In introduction, again in introduction, you will give some citations, you will give some background of the problem statement. Then in that, you will define the importance and what is known, what is unknown. You will also define your hypothesis in introduction. So in introduction, you will give background, your motivation, and your objectives. Then study side. Study side means, let us assume that you are doing literature survey paper. So in literature survey paper, you will download some literature, right? So from which search engine you are downloading the paper, right? If you are referring Science Direct, Taylor and Francis Online, Inter Science Online, Springer. So these are few reputed publishers, right? So if you are referring this, then that could be your site. Means from reputed publishers, you have taken few articles related to your domain, and then you have did the literature survey, right? So where did you did it? Why? Why here? Relevant to your study. We should ask this kind of questions for this step. Then methods. In methods, you have to answer this question. How did you do it? How did you do it? Means let us take an example of literature survey only. If you are doing literature survey, so how you will do the literature survey? Like how many papers you will select? First of all, from where you will download those papers? Then how you will read those papers, right? And what are how you interpret and how you record the outcomes of each and every research article, right? So how is very important in research? How, why, and where, right? So at the end there are results, right? So you will implement the identified method, and after implementation of method, you will get the results. So take example of literature survey paper only. If you are doing on literature survey, results of the literature survey paper would be you will identify the research gap. Yes, this work was not done so far, so you will identify the research gap, and based on that, You will formulate your research problem. Okay, so that we're going to include into results and discussion section or in conclusion section. So what I'm convey to you here is, if you look at the shape of introduction, so introduction section having larger size as compared to the other sections, right? And it has a funnel shape. Funnel shape, right? Means what it shows. First, we'll start with the broader aspect, and then we'll narrate it. We'll narrow down, and we will come to our problem statement in introduction itself. Okay. Then, if you look at discussion is reverse funnel shape. Means at the end we will elaborate more and more and more, right? So discussion section, but if you look at method results having constant size of shape, right? So here we have to have some constraints while discussing about method, results, right? Short and sweet. To the point we have to discuss about method and result. Again, in references, the shape is rectangle, right? And if you look at the conclusion, in conclusion we have to write what are your major findings. Based on that, you will define the conclusion and their significance on society, environment, in organization. Okay, so you have to write the impact of your study, right? In terms of business outcome, in terms of technical, in terms of statistical results. Okay, so you have to mention that in the conclusion. Next, so now we'll understand how to frame title and what are the important aspects which we have to touch upon if we are defining a title of any technical paper. So these are some checkpoints. Make sure your research technical title describes topic, method, sample, and result of study. Okay, I'm repeating. So your title should describe topic. Let us assume that you are working on Six Sigma project. So in title you should mention Six Sigma. Okay, so that is your topic. Or if if you are working on productivity improvement, then you should mention that in a topic. Okay, let us take an example that you are working on productivity improvement of XYZ using Six Sigma approach. So Six Sigma is a method in that case, right? I'm repeating. Productivity improvement of XYZ industry using Six Sigma approach. This is one title, for example, right? So in this title, I have described the title, a topic. That topic is I want to improve productivity, and I'm going to adopt some methodology. That method is Six Sigma, isn't it? So the result of the study would be what? Improvement in productivity. So that also I have defined in the title itself. So it should predict the content of the research paper. So take same example. So if you look at the title, that title predict the content of the research, right? So I would be working on productivity improvement. So that is the content of the paper, isn't it? So title of a technical paper is very important. So in that you have to define tools as well as your topic, domain, right? And what you are looking for. You are looking for improvement, you are looking for investigation. That all things you should define in title itself. It should be interesting to the readers also. Yes, that is also very important. Means it is advisable to use some buzzwords in a title like Six Sigma and productivity improvement. These are two buzzwords, right, which I have used here for developing the title, right? So by using these buzzwords or popular words, you will get more citations, more reading for your published paper. So while and there is a chance that your paper may get accepted. There is a possibility, right? So always, while developing a title, you have to select or you have to identify keywords, right? So you can develop the interest to the reader. Then it should contain important keywords, as I already said. Then avoid unnecessary words and jargons because there are certain limitations on number of words, right? You cannot have title length more than 20 words or more than 15 words, isn't it? So see, this is the limitation. Make sure your title is between 5 and 10, 15 words in a length. So maximum should be 15 length, 15 words, right? So this is one constraint. So while developing a title also, we should take care of this. And title is very important, very important for selling your article, right? So while selecting a title, you have to think cautiously and then please the title. Use a descriptive phrase to convey the purpose of your research question. Descriptive phrase like improvement in productivity. It describes something, right? Or reduction in a waste. It describes something, right? So it gives some message. It gives purpose of your work, right? So this is one example. Example is meditation makes nurses performance better. Okay, a quantitative study of mindfulness meditation among German nursing students. Correct. So this is one example in which problem statement is defined and objective is also defined. What is the objective here? The researcher wants to identify the impact of meditation on nurse performance, right? That is the objective of this research, right? Now researcher has also defined the method he's going to do this analysis based on qualitative studies, sorry, not a quantitative, qualitative studies, right? So based on qualitative survey, he will try to measure the effect or the impact of meditation on nurse performance. That is his objective, right? And where he will perform among the German nursing students. So his target audience is also defined. He is going to perform this activity on German nursing students. Okay. So see, if you look at this title carefully, title gives the important content, interesting to the reader. In this title, there are no unnecessary words or jargons present. Right? It is also short. It defines the method. It defines the research objective. So all things are clear in this. Right? So this is very important. And title of a research article is very important. So while defining the title, please take care of these points. Then the next one of the most important aspect of any research article is abstract. As I said, it gives the orientation or brief I think so. I was disconnected. Hello, Professor Ravindra. I hope my screen is visible. Hello, Professor Ravindra. Okay, okay, it's visible. Yeah. So the purpose of an abstract is to summarize the content of the paper. So this is the basic purpose of an abstract. Now, while writing the abstract, we should remember few points. First point is an abstract briefly explain the silent aspect of the content. Means in 2 to 3 lines, we should define the background of the problem or the background of the domain. Then abstract should be accurate and readable. Means to the point because the, there are some constraints when writing abstract. The abstract length should not be more than 250 words, right? So we have a constraint on number of words. So while writing abstract, we have to write very precisely to the point. We cannot use unnecessary words while developing the abstract. The abstract should summarize rather than quote from the paper. So this is again one more thing. We cannot write singular statement which is written in the paper in abstract. In abstract, we should summarize. We should summarize in very short or in very few words. That abstract should relate only to the paper, to be presented or accessed. So what I want to convey to you is here, while developing abstract, write to the point and what should be the content of the abstract, that we'll see. So abstract should answer these are following questions. First question is what was done. So what was done will answer history. Okay, what was the past? Then we should answer why did you do it? Why did you do it? Means what? Why you have taken this as a problem statement? What was the motivation? That we need to define. Why are these findings useful and important? Yeah. Then we should write how these findings would be useful to the society, to the environment, to the business. We should write that in abstract. Means the impact on society, impact on environment, impact on business. We should have that in abstract. Then what did you find? So after doing this research, what are your findings? That also we need to define. And then we should also write few limitations of the research in abstract research. So reader will understand the problem statement, background, constraints, everything. Reader will understand from by reading abstract. Then this is the content of the abstract. What we should write. So this is also one of the most important slides. What we should add. So as I said, context, background of the problem, then research objectives, research methodology, limitations, findings, conclusion, impact on society, environment, business. And we should write keywords also in abstract. Okay, so I must say that you have to write 2 to 3 lines for context, 2 to 3 lines for objectives, 2 to 3 lines for research methodology, 1 line for research limitation, findings, 2 to 3 lines, conclusion to be like. So altogether, you have to manage the show of abstract, and the number of words should be less than 250 words. Excluding keywords, keywords. Okay. Next. So this is one example where if you look at the title Data Driven Fleet Management using Mura, a perspective of risk management. So what was the objective here? I want to do fleet management, right? Fleet management using multi-objective optimization on the basis of ratio approach. So this is one multi-objective optimization technique, right? By using this, I'm going to do fleet management to reduce the risk involved in fleet management. Okay, but while doing this, I'm going to use data-driven approach, right? So if you look at the context, right? So in context, I have given the background, right? In today's era of technology and competitive market conditions, increase the issues and risks related to fleet management, such as maintenance scheduling, planning, and environment, right? So what I have given the background, there are some issues related to fleet management in terms of maintenance, scheduling, planning, environmental issues. Also, decision makers are looking for more profit and business. Yes. So top management are more interested in profit and business. So in today's era, top management people are looking for more profit and business. So in these circumstances, they are looking for solution based on captured data. Solution based on data driven or captured data, and how to analyze that data. So they want a solution for fleet management. Yeah. Next is objective. The purpose of this article is to identify the criteria and different alternatives. So I have defined my objectives. The purpose of this article is to identify the criteria and different alternatives for fleet management. Okay. Then another objective is to develop the matrix between alternative and criteria to demonstrate the Mura approach and to show the risk management approach. So these are the objectives of this research article. Then I have written methodology which was adopted for solving this problem. So initially Delphi method was used to identify the criterion fleet categories for decision making. Then in further step, sensors are identified and placed to capture the data for selected criteria. And the captured data was analyzed using Mura approach and developed the risk management matrix. So in this, I have discussed the adopted methodology for solving this problem. Then what are the limitations here? The geographical aspect, latitude and longitudinal, are not considered. So these are the limitations. While doing the data analysis, while collecting the data, we have not considered latitude and longitudinal coordinates. Okay, so what are the findings? The Delphi method identified fuel consumption, CO2 emission, coolant temperature, fleet rating, fleet utilization, revenue generated as the parameters, and micro, mini, prime as a fleet category for fleet management. So after doing the Delphi method, I have identified few parameters and few categories of fleet. Right? Then Mura reference for them goes to multi-rating Mura suggested fleet IDs. So in each category I have taken few fleets, and after that I have used Mura approach, and then I have identified which is the best fleet available in each category. So the results are mentioned here. So the conclusion, the implementation of Mura reference point approach and full multiple Mura is simple and gives the best alternative. The developed risk management matrix represents a relationship between parameter and identified risk. So these are few conclusions which I mentioned here. What are the impacts on society? Reduction in CO2 emission, enhance human health, reduce the frequency of accidents, and I have written keywords as Delphi method, Mura, fleet, risk management. These are few keywords. Now, next introduce. Sorry, introduction of paper. Yeah. So, introduction of paper. So, in this title, see, this is also one section of the technical paper, introduction. Having very much important. After abstract, reader will read introduction. Like in introduction, we should provide background and summarize existing research. Okay. So we have to develop that. We have to develop some background in detailed way in introduction. Then establish problem statement in introduction itself. Clearly states hypothesis or research question in introduction itself. Also, we need to state research aim and importance. What is the importance of your research? What are the objectives? Also, mention objectives and then give an overview of entire paper. Give an overview of entire paper. Okay. So, while developing introduction of technical paper, you should take care of these points. You will start with the introduction of the topic, then you will conclude introduction section in overview. In that para, you will write 1 to 2 lines for each section. Let us assume that in your paper there are total 5 sections, right? So for each section you will write 2 to 3 lines in introduction. So the last part of the introduction will give the summary of entire technical paper. Next. Now, how to carry literature summary? So, first of all, we have to identify literature, right? Now, for identifying this literature, we should have certain criteria in our mind. First of all, we need to identify preliminary keywords related to that domain. Preliminary keywords. Okay, like I have mentioned keywords, fleet management, right? So that is a keyword. Then, with respect to fleet management, you identify secondary keywords. Then, we should identify search engines. Search engines from which we're going to search. We're going to search articles. So there are few search engines available, famous search engines. I'm going to discuss those search engines. So these are the search engines. So first is the base. Another is there is one more core.ac.uk. So this is UK based search engine. Then we have a Google Scholar, patent.google.co, then academia. This is also one good search engine. Then as I said, Science Direct, Taylor and Francis Online, InterScience Online. Okay. Next, criteria for selecting the literature. So on what basis we are going to select the literature? So first is year of publication. So it is recommended that you should select latest publication for literature survey. Means let us assume that you are going to start your journey from tomorrow or today. So you should select paper which was published in 2019, 20, 2021 and recent. So that is preferable. Okay. Then match with the keywords. Already you have defined the keywords, then try to match with the keywords. Is that relevant to your domain? Relevant to your keyword? Yes. Then download them. Check the relevance. After checking the relevance, the next question is you have to read the abstract. Before downloading the paper, read the abstract. If you feel that abstract is suitable, right, it is very aligned with your research area, go ahead and download the data. Okay. So before downloading the article, you have to identify your publication, you have to match your keywords, check the relevance of your article, and then read the abstract. And after reading the abstract, then download that. Then what to do, what to be added in the literature summary. So you should add findings, conclusion, method and tools and techniques adopted, and must add unique contribution of the researcher. So you have to prepare one table while doing the literature summary. So in that table, first column would be title of the paper, then second column would be name of the researcher or name of the author, then year of publication, then what are the findings, conclusions, tools used, and unique contribution. And after unique contribution, there should be a remark from your end. From your end, there should be a remark. Okay. So while doing the literature survey, you have to prepare a table in this way only. So this table will help you for identifying research gap. Research objectives. So after literature survey, exhaustive literature survey, we need to frame research objectives based on literature survey only. So while defining research objectives, the research objective should focus on your study. Okay. There is no requirement that you should have more than 4 research objectives, 5 research objectives, no. But those research objectives should be more specific. More specific. Clearly identify variables to be measured. Which, let us assume that the previous example only. I have taken the example of productivity improvement. So in objective right, I want to improve productivity from 95% to 97%. So this is measurable. Previously the productivity was 95%. Now I am looking for improvement to 97%. So indicate the various steps to be involved. So research objective that also include the various steps to be involved. Like I will say that the research objective like this: identification of best fit using multi-Mura method, right? So the multi-Mura is it's one tool. So that tool itself has certain steps involved, right? So that indicates the various steps to be involved for achieving our objectives. Research objective also should establish the limits of the study. Some limits. Then avoid collection of any data that is not strictly necessary. With research objective, we should take care of this also. We have to avoid collection of any data that is not strictly necessary. So if you can avoid this, you avoid. If it is required, you go ahead. See, in that case, productivity has to improve from 95 to 97. In that, I have to collect data from which only I can able to predict the existing productivity. After predicting the existing, I can set my target objective. Right? So in that case, data collection was required. Right? But if the case in the case data collection is not required, you avoid. So these are few examples of research objectives. To assess the knowledge, attitude of practice of the community towards HIV, AIDS, and voluntarily counseling and testing services. So here, what is the objective here? We have to assess the knowledge. First objective is we have to assess the knowledge. Then attitude of the person and practice of the community towards HIV and AIDS. Towards HIV and AIDS. So our objective is to assess the knowledge related to HIV. Our objective is to assess attitude towards HIV. Then to assess the practice of community towards HIV. These are our objectives. So well defined. Second, to identify barriers and concerns related to VCT and its uptake. So these are another objective. This is the second objective. To identify barriers and concern related to VCT. So these are few examples for framing the objective. Then research methodology. So these are few points, right? These are few points, and we should answer these questions by developing research methodology. First question is the type of research you did. Like as I said, it's original research or it's a literature survey. How you will collect your data? How you will analyze your data? Any tool or material you use in the research. Your rationale for choosing these methods. So your research methodology should answer all these questions. Then there are few tips for writing strong methodology. So research method is the next part. Means after finalizing objectives, you will develop a research methodology or your action plan to achieve your objectives. Right? So while developing methodology, you should focus on your objectives and research questions. If there are hypotheses, with respect to the hypothesis, you will develop the research methodology. Cite the relevant sources. Write for your audience. Discuss limitations. Okay. So these are few important points, tips for writing strong research methodology. And I have also given the example. If you look at, I have started with my domain. Domain was fleet management. Right? In fleet management, what I have did after fleet management, I have did some literature survey and I have discussed with the experts also for getting the insights. What are the problems? And from literature survey, I have understood really these problems are existing or not. Right? So, in all together, by combining literature survey and discussion, I have formulated the problem statement. After formulating problem statement, I will also go for literature survey. Means how I should approach, how I should solve this problem. For that, I have done literature survey. Then I have discussed with the experts again for getting the clarity, more clarity, what they want. I have done the problem statement, but still, what are their expectations? You know that discussion with the expert is very important. Then, after doing literature survey discussion with the experts, what I have done, I have identified the parameters to solve selected problems. So I have identified the parameters to solve the selected parameters. Then I have identified the sensor equipment to monitor selected parameters like CO2 emission, the noise, vibration. These are the parameters which I have identified for fleet management. Then install the selected sensors. Then appropriately we need to install. Then after installation, data would be collected. Then that data would be analyzed using different methods. Okay. Then identify the solution. If there are issues, then the solution would be implemented. And after implementation, if the results are satisfactory, then we'll conclude with result and discussion, develop guidelines for practitioner and conclusion. If the results are not that much satisfactory, then again, what are the problems that we'll identify? So here you can see that there is a condition monitor. Is this a satisfactory solution? If yes, we'll conclude. If no, then again we will identify the parameters. So this is one example to understand how to develop research methodology. That this is also one of the important thing, result and discussion. Because reader, after reading introduction, reader will read result and discussion. What are the outcomes of the study? Okay. So the tips to write the discussion section. Highlight the significance of your findings. As I said, what are the findings? You have to emphasize on the findings in result and discussion. Mention how the study will fill the gap of knowledge. Then you have to also focus how this research is beneficial to the society. Means how much this research is beneficial in terms of environment, in terms of business. So you know that is the footprint of your research. Indicate the implications of your research. Write some implications. Okay. Now implications means what are the hurdles you have observed? Then avoid generalizing, misinterpreting your results. Drawing a conclusion with no supporting findings from your result. Means you have to avoid this. If you are drawing conclusion without any supporting findings, then that is also wrong practice. There should be some evidence. If you are writing any conclusion, there should be some evidence. Then tips for tips to write the result section. First of all, we had a discussion for discussion, then result section. Direct the reader to the research data and explain the meaning of the data. So in result section, we should direct the reader to the result data and we should explain the meaning. Avoid using a repetitive sentence structures to explain the new set of data. We should avoid that. So write and highlight your important findings in your results. So in results, we may have sections: technical results, statistical results, business results. Okay. If the problem is of reduction in cost, then that would be technical results. Performance improvement, technical results. So use the same order as subheading of the method section. Match the results with the research question from the introduction. So that is also very important. You should correlate research questions with the results. Your results should answer your research question. Yes, that is very important. Then only present data that supports the significance of your study. Means you have to present that data only which supports significance of your study. Irrelevant data intentionally you have to avoid. Then you can provide additional data in table and figures as a supplementary method. So these are few tips while writing the result section. While developing a discussion section, You start with the beginning part, that is the answer of the research question provided by the findings. The middle part would be a comparison with previous work for supporting your study and the interpretation of the result, the strength and limitation of the study, and the conclusion of the study and the significance of the study. To fill the gap in the field of study. Conclusion. So, conclusion should include. This is the last section of the paper, right? And presenting the last word on the issue you raise in your paper. As I said, it's the last section, and you have tossed some issues in a paper, and you will conclude with your findings. So you have to summarize your thoughts and convey the larger implications of your study. So in conclusion, you have to summarize your thoughts, your understanding, your learning, right? Your deliverables, demonstrating the importance of your ideas, and what are the importance and what is the significance of your ideas after demonstration. So you have to discuss your learning in conclusion, as well as you have to include possible new expanded ways of thinking. As I said, you have to write limitations also in conclusion. So limitations and future direction, that should be a part of conclusion. So new researcher will take away those limitations and future direction, and new researcher will expand the wings. Right? General rules for writing conclusion: state your conclusion in clear, simple language. Precisely, we have to define our understanding, our learning. Okay, do not simply recreate the results of the discussion. Similarly, we should write opportunities for future research. As long as you haven't already done so in discussion section of your paper. So this is very important, which has to be there in your conclusion. Future direction. So with this, I'm concluding my session. Thank you for listening. I thank you, Parallel University, for giving me this an opportunity for giving a talk on technical paper writing. And once again, thank Automobile Department for Parallel University. Thank you. Now I would like to hand over this session to Professor Devendra Kumar. If there are any questions, please let me know. Hand over to you.
Thank you, Padma sir. The session was very informative and helpful to write the technical paper in the research area. Yes, right. So,
you are not.
hello, am I audible?
Wait, give me 2 minutes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you, sir. The session was very informative and helpful to write the technical paper in the research area. So I again thankful to you for sharing knowledge about it.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.